Hey guys, Nick here with GearNut, and RAVPower sent down their PD Pioneer 7200 milliamp hour. So 70,200 milliamp hour, 250 watt, 4-port powerhouse. It's a lot to say, but if you're like me, you want to run a couple laptops in a power outage, you want to run a couple projectors, you just want to have that peace of mind. If you're going to go camping, you want to bring an extra little battery bank with you, tent camping, vehicle camping, a nice little addition to your setup, right? It gives you peace of mind in options. Now, it doesn't run fridges for multiple days and stuff like that. You're talking about a way bigger setup and a lot more cost. So we're going to take a look at this little battery pack. I mean, it's basically a generator at this point because you can dump solar into it, but it comes in a really nice case. Now, the case is actually worth talking about. It's got nice little pyramid feet down here to kind of keep it from sliding around in your vehicle when it's being moved. It still will tip over if it's top heavy, but these keep it from just in the back of your vehicle. That's pretty cool that they thought about that. The side pouches, you can take and shove in all these accessory cords and just kind of get them in there real nice and neat. Just kind of like I'm doing, and just really get that paperwork up in there. Those pouches are super awesome. Now I'm ruining the manual, but who needs manuals, right? So it's nice to be able to put your cords in there for camera gear, flashlights, all sorts of laptop, drone, and whatever you guys might be charging. Not only one, but two. You got another one on the other side. You got this nice little strap. You can detach it if you don't like it. I personally like these. They're easier to grab and just yank around. And if you can't, you got this nice little handle on top. Got a little mesh pad. It's a sharp looking bag. Got two zippers over here. They feel quality, you know. That's one thing I'm a stickler about is zippers. I don't like cheap zippers. These feel pretty freaking good. They're not marked YKK as I could see, so they're probably not. But inside you got another little pouch for all your accessory cords. The unit actually comes with a USB-C to USB-C, so that is pretty cool. We're going to get into some functionality of this type of cord here in a minute. And then it comes with a nice little side pouch right here. Drop in all your cables. It doesn't scratch and mar up and get tangled up in your unit. You can just drop that in here and have a messy compartment on the side. Now, it's using a DC plug. Now, DC plugs aren't bad. They're kind of outdated. But for these types of units, a DC plug is pretty common in my opinion. And it's got this little brick. And if you're going to plug it into the wall, you can imagine how much lost plug real estate you're going to get if you stick it on a power surge strip. But yeah, it is what it is. So 2 phases, basically 4 amp, 60 watt, 1.2 amp max, 50 to 60 hertz. I'm not going to bore you with that. What I wanted to show you is you push this little side button, twist, and boom, you can switch out these wall plugs right here, right? So if you're going to travel internationally, get a couple of these extra little plugs and boom, plug it right into the wall wherever you're at. That's pretty cool. So nice little charger, works out great. There's multiple ways to charge this thing. We'll get into a couple of them. So that's the end of the bag. It's a really nice bag. I think cases and bags are something, when you spend this much money, you should get. And you get a really good one with this RAVPower. So, top, you got these 2 AC outputs. Oh, gosh. First gripe, right? What happens when I want to plug in a 3-prong? Well, I get my drill out and just drill it. No, you don't do that, guys. I was joking. Oh, well, they sell these adapter things, right? If you've ever lived in a house in the United States that's built in the 50s, you realize that they only thought the world needed 2 plugs. And RAVPower says you only need 2 plugs. Well, it's not the 1950s anymore, but I understand why they did it. Most of my high drain, high power outlet devices use a 3-prong grounded plug. So it kind of keeps people It idiot-proofs it, in my opinion, from putting too much, trying to pull too much power out of this. So 250 watts is not a lot of power, but it's a lot of power when you have no power. So get a couple of these adapters, use them at your own discretion. And God, this one's super tough. That's the problem with the adapters, is they're pretty tough to use. But if you shove just hard enough, you can get an adapter on. So I like the silicone, I like the flap covers, I love the stackability, but the first mistake is no third prong portion on these units. You can still use it, it'll still work. With these adapters, you might have to flip it around, get the long side on the long side, and kind of bend this little prong here. But yeah, it will work. And we'll get into running something here in a minute off of the AC power. It's got a pure sine wave inverter, so that's good. That's great. You know, they didn't cheap out and get it modified. You've actually got a pure sine in here, so your laptops and all that delicate equipment, it's going to charge it. It's got a cool handle. You can pick it up, turn it sideways, and actually support the whole unit with it. Rubber molded, plastic, metal mounted. So I have no questions that it's going to last. It's going to work. I love it. Power button on the side, turns it on, kind of shows you how many LEDs you have. That's cool. Like, it works. It gives you a meter to actually know what's going on. But as soon as you get to the second little dot here, and then you get to the first one, you never know when this is going to shut off. So some people like to have a digital meter saying, oh, you have 5% battery, 10% battery left, and then the unit shuts off to protect the rest of the cells so that you can charge it up again. And I've ran this thing completely out of power. I never knew when it was going to shut off. When I got to that one dot, I never knew when it was going to shut off. So as it got to the second dot, I watched it, and as it got to the first dot, I just stopped doing what I was doing, and then I started to charge this up or set it aside to be charged in the sunlight the next day. So the power button also doubles as the flashlight little activator. Double tap and it'll turn that on. Double tap again and it takes you into some flashlight modes. Double tap again, it takes you into this strobe. These are great to an extent. If you're going to put a light on one of these, like I call them a power outage unit, that's what I'm going to use it for. A lot of people you're going to use it for. Why don't you put an LED strip all the way around here? And then instead of having one LED, you're going to power a bunch of them all the way around the outside. You set this thing down, you double tap it, and it turns it into a room 360-degree lantern. Don't put a strip on it. Don't just 360 degrees. You could put a lens in there. You could put just a piece of acrylic plastic with a couple LEDs all over the corners. You could do a lot more. In my opinion, you've got the power, and it would be so much more beneficial for you to find your way around this unit with extra light. You know, be able to plug things in, because on the opposite side, you got your light, and then over on this side, you've got your ports. Well, how's that light going to help you out on the other side of the unit unless you bounce it off of a wall, right? You might not have a wall. You might be out in a field. You might be out in your vehicle, dark carpet, stuff like that. Car battery's dead. Of course, life happens. So I'd like to see that 360-degree LED put on one of these. I think that'd be awesome. You could still do that yourself and plug it in on one of these ports and just wrap this thing in some LEDs. It's not too expensive, not too hard, but you're still going to have to plug this in. So, something to think about. Now, when we get off to the side, this is where it gets kind of cool. You've got a PD port, and then you got 3 USB-As, 1 quick charge. Check this out. And it's labeled green. It's not going to rub off. Super cool. So, if you're going to try to quick charge something to the best of this unit's ability, use the green port. For all other uses, use your other 2 and 3 ports. Pretty cool. Smart technology is going to realize what it's capable of charging on that unit and charge it at the best rate of charge. Pretty cool. Now, the USB-C to USB-C cable they gave you is a cable worth having. Now, this PD port, I can plug this thing in and plug the other end in to my MacBook Pro charger that plugs into the wall, and I can charge this unit. And then I can just unplug it from the wall and plug this thing right into my MacBook Pro and charge my MacBook Pro. So you can put power in and take power out through the PD port. USB-C, it charges the MacBook Pro. Really freaking awesome. It does get the MacBook Pro wall charger pretty hot when you're doing it, but it's all right. In a pinch, if you had to do it, it could do it, right? Super cool. So the back side, you got this big old fan vent right here. You guys can see. And on the bottom, you got your intake vents. So don't use this in a super dusty environment. There's no filtration on here. It's going to suck that dust right up and in and through, or push it through. And then you're going to be left with an impregnated heat fin covered unit. So, you know, if you're going to use this in a dusty environment, you might want to come up with a creative solution and figure that one out for yourself. I haven't figured it out yet. But if you're using it in a dusty environment, try not to use the inverter and try not to charge this thing too fast, because the fan turns on when you charge it too fast or with the wall plug. So some of the solar panels you can hook up to this don't really kick off the temperature control inside and make this thing start using power to push air through and cool it down. And that may change in the summertime. I'm doing this in November. I haven't experienced that, and I've tried solar panel charging, which is pretty cool. So wall charger plugs in, DC input, just like so, plugs in, charges. You can also get a DC adapter from your car and use your cigarette lighter and a DC plug like so and charge it with your car. And you can also pick up one of these. Description box below, I'll try to have a discount code for the unit, and I'll try to have a link to where you can pick up one of these MC4 to DC plugs, and you can actually charge this off a solar panel just like that. Super cool. Now, one thing I'm going to say, make sure whoever manufactured your solar panel knows the difference between positive and negative. One of my panels didn't know that. So, but the SBM Solar, they actually understood what this was. So pretty cool of them to understand what's going on with the world of aftermarket adapters. Super cool. This does work. It's not the fastest, but in a pinch, I can put solar power into this unit and run, gosh, I can run a leaf blower, a 20 volt, 5 amp hour battery. I could charge this thing up, no issues, and actually run a leaf blower. I can run a circular saw. I can run a reciprocation saw. I can run a hammer drill for concrete. I can do all sorts of stuff with these types of batteries, and this unit charges them just perfectly fine. So super cool, very versatile. Love the input. That's the only port besides the PD port for charging, in my opinion. This is your DC output. Your DC output, it's not regulated from what I understand. So if your battery gets really low, the voltage will read low out of this output. It's not regulated or maintained, so it's going to fluctuate. So don't put anything real sensitive to voltage changes and try to charge it at this DC output. Not smart. So pretty cool little unit. I really love the footprint. I can stack things on top of here while I'm charging. So I can plug in a couple plugs and stack something on top of it and maximize my counter space. Because if you use this in a camper or a small car or anything like that, space is always an issue. And I love the footprint and design. It's super heavy on the bottom because I think that's where all the batteries are and all the heavy components. And then the higher up you get, the lighter it gets. So that's pretty cool. I like that. To turn this thing on, to use it, you just take and push and hold on this top button right here for your AC. White light turns on, shows you how much power you got, and you can plug in. Let's plug in something fun. Let's do something fun. So, if you're like Gear Nut, here, let's plug this in backwards. Oh, I really wish it had 3 prongs. Don't forget to buy adapters, guys. But, oh wow, I'm gonna break that. If you're like Gear Nut and you got yourself some hobbies and a workbench with vices on it, this is a corncob media tumbler. So the power goes out and you want to take and tumble some little shells, 50 BMGs. Well, the power's out. You can't really do this application or procedure and clean up your range brass without wall power. Let's turn this thing on over here, get that white light going, and let's kick this thing off. It's not a problem. Now that's one thing I didn't really think about when I was buying brass and getting into that niche field. I didn't really think about how I would power and clean up my brass casings without power, right? Whether it be my Lyman ultrasonic temperature unit for doing some really detailed cleaning on gun parts or whatever. This is a very handy little piece of kit. So power outages, if you're out and about into an area without any power, camping, hiking, stuff like that. And somebody's setting off one of my motion detections. Better flick that off. Security systems. I can charge up my security cameras on my house with these because they are battery powered. So I could just grab this unit, run to the front of the house, and charge up those cameras, and then come to the back of the house, plug in the wall little adapters, charge the back ones up, and be good to go. So it's a handy little portable kit. It's only going to do 250 watts out of these little plugs. I think it's 150 each if you use both of them, total of 300, or one of them for 250. And experiment around, see what happens. It should have an over voltage protection on it. Got a bunch of dust from my corncob media tumbler in those 50s. But something to think about, you know. Peace of mind is something that is definitely worth an investment. And I really like this unit. The footprint is super awesome. The kit or the bag that you can build with this is super freaking cool. Drop all your cords in, get them out of sight, out of mind. You only have to charge this thing like once every 6 months. So throw this in a closet and a couple times a year, charge it up, and you're good to go. You can take and run your power tools. You can take these 20-volt batteries, put the charger on there, charge these up, and then charge this unit up with a solar panel, and you've got power for days, as long as it's sunny. So, RAVPower, I love what you guys are doing. This is a super freaking awesome little unit. Hands down, one of my favorite units. I just wish it had 3 prongs. So, but that's easily remedied. As you guys seen, I ran a 3-prong unit off of here without any issues with an adapter. Is it recommended? I don't know. Worked for me, but it's up to you guys. So, Gear Nut here, just having some fun, doing a little review for you guys. These things are peace of mind in a kit, peace of mind in your closet. Just hands down one of the funnest things you can have. Power to go, right? Power to go. So, if you guys like the video, give me a thumbs up. Description box below, I'll have a link to where you can pick up an MC4 adapter for solar panels with the plug and maybe some extra little plugs with it. So I'll have one of those down there for you. And then description box below, maybe I'll get you guys a discount. So check it out. Let me know what you guys think. I really like these units, and I hope you guys do too. So I will check you guys later.